Happy Monday. It is April 26th, and today is National Pretzel Day. I love pretzels, so I'm excited. I'm going to have one when I get home, I think. But today, what we're going to be able to do is we're going to wrap up the Middle Ages with explaining how the Crusades were viewed differently between the Christians and the Muslims. Um, and then this week's going to look a little bit different. It's going to be similar to not last week, but the week before, where we have state testing in math this week. So there's going to be review skill lessons, and then we'll start content back on Friday, which we're going to start diving into the Renaissance, which I'm really, really excited. It's one of my favorite units to teach. But today we're going to go over the do now, or we're going to have a do now and go over it. And then we have a quick review from Friday. We have some guided practice and independent practice for the rest. Let's get started. All right, so this deals with exactly what we're going to do today, which is dealing with primary sources. So historians follow rules to help them analyze primary sources. Some of the rules they use are every piece of evidence and every source must be read or viewed skeptically and critically. Each piece of evidence and source must be cross-checked and compared with related sources and pieces of evidence. These rules are designed to help historians determine the what. So go ahead and pause the video and take about 1 minute and answer this question. All right, the answer to this question is 1, the reliability of document information. So we use these rules to make sure that the documents that we are analyzing are reliable and factual, even if they are an opinion. Sorry, my hair is like being funky. So for the review, I want you to pause. This is from Thursday and Friday's lessons. It has to do with the 100 Years' War and the plague and the Peasants' Revolt. So all those things that made society break down during this time. So go ahead and pause the video for about 5 minutes and answer these questions. All right, so which kingdoms fought the 100 Years' War? That would be D, England and France. What was the terrible disease that killed millions? That would be the bubonic plague. 3, the Black Death was mostly spread by sea trade, which should have been your response to your short answer in Friday's lesson. Fear of the plague caused some people to look for scapegoats or someone to blame. In this case, it just happened to be the who? Jews. Okay. And then 5, what was the main cause of the Peasants' Revolt? New laws that limited the movement and wages of serfs or peasants. Serfs is another word for peasants. So if you don't have those correct, go ahead and fix them because you will see these questions again this week. All right, so the first document we're going to look at, well, let me read the overview first. In a number of battles over nearly 200 years, Christian and Muslim armies fought for control of Jerusalem and the Holy Land. The first excerpt below was written by Pope Gregory VII in 1074, about 20 years before the beginning of the Crusades. In it, he reported that Muslims were killing Christians in the Eastern Mediterranean. He called for a crusade to restore Christian control of the region. In the second excerpt, which you'll read on your own, Biha ad-Din, a member of the Muslim army, describes the results of a battle fought in 1191. After the battle, King Richard I of England executed thousands of Muslim prisoners. So we're going to read Pope Gregory's call for a crusade first and answer those together, and then you will do the second source on your own. Let me get some, I got my hip of water. The bearer of this letter, on his recent return from across the sea, came to Rome to visit us. He repeated what we had heard from many others, that a pagan race had overcome the Christians and with horrible cruelty had devastated everything almost to the walls of Constantinople, and were now governing the conquered lands with tyrannical violence, and that they had slain many thousands of Christians as if they were but sheep. If we love God and wish to be recognized as Christians, we should be filled with grief at the misfortune of this great Greek empire and the murder of so many Christians. But simply to grieve is not our whole duty. We should lay down our lives to liberate them. Know, therefore, that we are trusting in the mercy of God and in the power of his might, that we are striving in all possible ways and making preparations to render aid to the Christian empire as quickly as possible. So I want you to pause the video and you're going to answer questions 1 and 2. What does Gregory say is happening to Christians in the region? Sorry, there's a typo there. Christians in the region. And then 2, according to Gregory, what should people do to be recognized as Christians? So go ahead and pause, and all of the answers to these questions are in this primary source by Pope Gregory VII. All right, so what does Gregory say is happening to Christians in the region? Gregory says that Christians are being mistreated by pagans. You can see that here in the 3rd and 4th line, that a pagan race had overcome the Christians and with horrible cruelty had devastated everything. So here we see that. And then question 2, according to Gregory, what should people do to be recognized as Christians? He said that Gregory believes that people should be willing to die to free Christians from Muslim rule. So here he says we should lay down our lives to liberate them or free them. All right, for independent practice, you're going to read the source from the other side, from the Muslim perspective. You're going to answer questions 3 and 4. And then you have 2 final questions that entail a little bit more writing. One, you're comparing viewpoints. So how do the authors use facts and opinions to support their points of view? So you are thinking a little bit about bias here. And then for number 2, which is a little bit lengthier, you're going to find evidence that supports the statement, the Crusades caused suffering and bloodshed for both Christians and Muslims. Summarize your findings in a paragraph. So that's going to go in this box here. You need to add another slide if you have more writing to do, that's perfectly fine. But again, you are finding textual evidence in the 2 different sources that support this statement. Okay, and then you are done. And then for the rest of the week until Friday, you're going to be working on some skill review, so timelines, charts, all of those things that we've been working on. Also some review from all over the school year, so Greece, Rome, China, Japan, all of that. And then on Friday we'll start the Renaissance, which I'm very excited for. So I will see you all, I guess not until Friday, but you have a great week, guys.